morning, everybody. Let me get this cam going because we don't have any video updates today. So you get to see my Phoebus. See how this works out because me forgot to put her Kindle to charge, so her mini portable teleprompter thingy on the short budget that is the Ghetto Stream may or may not die on her while she's reading stories. We're about to check. Morning, Panina and Jason. We've got 2 people in the live chat so far. So I only have a brief update on Vegas. We're going to go over also Southwest dogs and a woman who wouldn't leave. And the third story is simply titled DOJ U.S. anti-bias laws don't include transgender workers or transsexual workers. So we're going to delve into that one too. And I've also got a couple of citations I want to pull from on that particular story. So this week has been a tumultuous week with covering the Vegas story. And getting as much of the confirmed information as we can out there. I looked on the LVMPD website this morning, and they did not have any more updated press conferences that I could play for you this morning. I couldn't find much of anything. It's a rather short list for that particular story this morning. So there's nothing new as far as, motive. They still haven't found the motive, which is, rightfully bothering some because people need closure and no motive often means no closure. What you're looking at is a memorial that is being set up in Vegas. Those are crosses that have been meticulously made for each of the victims. That is a picture out of the Associated Press. So I am not going to take credit for that picture. Thursday was a vigil for the fallen officer by the name of Charleston Hartfield, who fell in the line of duty. Morning, Nugs. How you doing? We have White Girl McNugget in my live chat this morning.
Oh, dear God.
Let me see. It's also been coming out that he looked at, that he booked hotels near venues in Chicago and also Fenway Park. Possible suggestions that he was looking for other targets. A Tucson SUV found, but it wasn't clear. The police aren't telling us when they found that vehicle. Preliminary profile describes him as disturbed and dangerous. He's acquired this arsenal over decades. They're disturbed that he may have led a secret life, which probably explains why the girlfriend had no clue what was going on. Morning rhetorical. About to get a stop as always. We know at 10:30 in the morning, you always seem to be stopping somewhere, Fen. Let's see here. Bardo says that his motives and he will probably never be fully understood. So there's always that danger. Morning, Mitch. There would possibly be that danger. 2 things, one national that has come out of this positive. The national is the NRA, the Republicans, and the Democrats are coming together to place restrictions on the bump stock. They've all agreed that the bump stock was one of the major issues of this particular case because there were so many in the room, and it does turn in a semi-auto.
There were two in the room, but
it was enough.
That's enough to do a ton of damage.
Mm-hmm. On the local level here in Atlanta, Atlanta's taking a cue and learning lessons from what happened in Vegas. They are, the Atlanta PD specifically, I don't know about other police departments in Georgia, they are giving all of their patrol officers tactical training, and they're opening it up to volunteers. The tactical training includes active shooter reactions, tactical maneuvers, and tactical responses during this training. The APD officers that volunteer for this particular tactical school, once they get their certificate and pass this particular training program, they will get a bump in pay. So the APD is taking a proactive stance in this particular. How do you know only 2? Because we saw there were 12 things in there among all the...
That was one of the first things that... one of the first reports that came out of the room, and as that said, that had bump stocks installed on them, Fenrir.
Yeah, but there's also said there were 12 accessories in the room too. But didn't list what all
I
the
don't care about
accessories
the other accessories. I looked at some of those rifles and everything, and they had multiple accessories on each rifle. Is the actual report that came from law enforcement that said that 2 of the weapons were equipped with bump stocks.
Okay, so we know there's at least 2 confirmed bump stocks in the room. But it's enough for all 3 of them to get together and talk about it. So that's happening. The APD is ramping up their training process. So the reason they're teaching tactical to their patrol police is because they want their policemen to take a proactive stance when it comes to, hopefully this won't happen here, so they don't have to wait for SWAT. So that happened there. At least 2 bump stocks, Finn. That's been confirmed. And this picture is a screen cap of a video for this very infamous woman. And the title of my talking points for this section is Southwest Dogs and a Woman Who Wouldn't Leave. First, that she's claiming the story that Southwest Airlines is releasing about what happened in the incident and what she's saying happened are 2 totally different things. Are we surprised? Good morning, Miss T.
Miss T, you don't ban all accessories. Some accessories are just cosmetic, honestly. Some are useful for some things, like getting some extra cooling circulating around the barrel. Having a stock with a rifle butt on it and everything that's adjustable and everything. That's the issue here and everything is, can it, if used in any way, shape, form, or fashion, do 2 things. Change the rate of fire, or control the noise.
Morning, Eric.
Now, suppression devices, really, I don't think that the general public needs to have that. Anything that would allow you to increase your rate of fire to the extent of what we saw during the Vegas shooting, yeah, I don't think the general public should be allowed to get that. That's a personal opinion and everything. Now, saying, am I going to ever hear me say that, we shouldn't be able to purchase an AR-15? No, go ahead and buy it all day long.
Yeah.
Because without the proper modifications and everything, you're still only going to fire 1. No.
Not suppressors. We don't need suppressors. For what? Most of the people that use it to defend themselves don't need it, because by then the people are already in the house trying to shoot at you, or you're hunting.
Well, suppression and everything was started to be released for people that were varmint control around livestock.
Well, I can see that.
Yeah, and that's literally and everything. Groundhogs, coyotes, things of that nature. When they're firing around land, that's so that way they're not spooking the livestock.
Morning, Sith Straight Mail. Okay, September 26th, Southwest flight in Baltimore. Everybody knows the story by now. This woman with a video that gone viral, one video that was recorded by a Mr. Bill Dumas, of this woman getting escorted off of the airplane because she was resisting leaving the airplane. The story that ensued was that she saw that there were 2, she asked, and she was told that there were 2 dogs on the plane, one being a service animal. Her saying that she was allergic to animals to a life-threatening degree and asked for an EpiPen, to which she was asked to provide medical documentation before they gave her an EpiPen, and she refused, or she said she didn't have the medical paperwork on her to prove her allergy.
Time out. Aren't you supposed to carry that information if you've got a life-threatening thing?
You are, but apparently she either didn't have it on her or refused to show it.
Okay, go ahead.
That part wasn't clear. So they asked her to leave the plane because she kept asking them to remove the dogs. Now, let me repeat. One of these was a service animal. So I'm going to continue. So since she wouldn't leave after asked because she had paid for the seat, the Maryland Transportation Authority police came and removed her from the airplane, which started the viral video that we have seen all over the internet since this incident happened. Her problem is that the story that Soutwest has released isn't what actually happened. Surprise, surprise. Good morning, reality check. Let me see. So she has a different story. She asked how many dogs are going to be on the plane. She was told. She said that her allergy was not life-threatening at all, even though the reports say that she said it was life-threatening. Then she's asserting that they didn't trust me. I was a brown woman with a hoodie, pulling the race card. Said she was 2 months pregnant and that she never asked for the dogs to be removed. The lot size, oh, that's her last name and I can't pronounce it, so I know I'm...
Finally, is that a boot full of coffee, Maddie?
Yes, it's a boot full of coffee because my coffee mug perished in a heinous attack when I knocked it over and it shattered. We lost one of our own. Morning, honey. Let me see here. The lot size attorney charges she was profiled and other things due to her color and faith as well as being Muslim. Okay, excuse me. We all know not all brown people are Muslim. So unless she was shouting it to the rooftops that she was Muslim and followed the Islam faith, ain't nobody going to know what her religious affiliation is. But it did come out after. Why? Could it be because of oppression points? Just a question I'm throwing out.
Oh, they're going to try oppression point. Here's the thing. She didn't comply. Mm-hmm. Then she was asked to leave. She probably did throw a fucking fit or became argumentative. She was asked to disembark the aircraft. Yeah. She did not disembark. Yeah. And everything. The police became involved and they disembarked her. And she tried to fight with the police and lost. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing for everybody to know, and most people know already and everything, that I will be flying out for California. I believe it's on Sunday. Mm-hmm. And yeah, somebody will get some interesting video if I get on a plane with somebody like that.
Yeah, probably.
Because they ain't going to have the cops, because I'm just going to stand up and knock them the fuck out, drag them off the plane, and leave them in the aisleway and everything. Can we go now? Reality check. The thing that she's trying to say is that they lifted her up by her belt loops and ripped her pants, which is why she kept saying in the video, "Let me close my pants." That they didn't actually pick her up from underneath, her shoulders, like right here, like most people would lift or grab her by her arm to lift her out of the chair. She's asserting that they grabbed her belt loop and yanked it up. Actually, they're not. They don't want you putting your hand right there and everything, because then the women scream and everything. You trying to grope me?
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
You grab them by the belt loop or the belt and everything, and you yank them off their damn feet.
Yeah. Bill Dumas, the recorder of said video, said even though he thinks that the police were a little rough, Anila didn't give him much choice in the matter because she wasn't complying with her wishes. So even though he thinks they were a little too rough with her, he does agree that the police didn't have a choice in the matter of how they handled her and got her off the plane. Morning, Futter. I would bust your belt loose, not open the pants, but whatever. Yeah, exactly, reality check. And she was sitting down, so there was really no way to get behind her unless the people in the seats behind her got up and let the police get behind her to lift her up that way. But then again, in the video, that's not what happened. We can see that. Maryland Transportation Authority police said despite her clear attempt to resist a law enforcement officer, Ms. Dawlett's eye was professionally removed from the aircraft within the guidelines of the MDTA police. This remains an open case that will be handled in the appropriate venue, not through various media channels. Anila has received death threats and hate mail due to this incident, probably from the people on the damn plane because she wouldn't get off the plane, but that's speculation. That's not fact.
Morning, Mario.
The airline has issued a public apology to her and has tried on several occasions to contact her to address her concerns, and she has not responded to them reaching out to her. Morning, Muriel.
She's going to try and sue and everything because now she wants free money and she won't get.
No, she won't get the free money. She is trying to sue the airline. It's not going to work because there's this video, and I'm sure there's other video as well that was taken when the incident happened. Let's face it. We're in a world of handheld cameras. Where there's an incident happening, there's bound to be someone to take out their smartphone and take a recording of it. And that recording becomes evidence.
I'm seriously, I will be taking pictures. It's been, holy cow, wait a minute. Hold
on. What?
Let's see.
We're running out of prop. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
We're running out of coffee. Oh no! What a travesty!
To the woman screaming.
She does not explain the fact that she said that she was demanding an EpiPen and that they kept asking for medical records because the public. Private companies cannot automatically and arbitrarily administer medicine of that type without proof of illness or proof of allergies in this case. And she was sitting there asserting that she was deathly afraid of animals, but she didn't bring on the plane her if you do know that you have allergies of that type, you will have an EpiPen on your person just for emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
And B, no documentation for proof. Morning, Jason Todd. If the police tell you to do something, you do it. You don't resist or argue, you just do it. If they are in the hole, you can sue them. Yeah. If they're in the hole, you can sue them later. Yeah. But I mean, it's just when you don't comply with the police and you don't have the documentation necessary, you're in the wrong. Period. First of all, if you're deathly afraid of anything, I've been with friends that are deathly allergic to bee stings. They carry their EpiPen wherever they go. Mm-hmm. It's either in a back pocket or if they're a girl, it's in a purse, readily available for them to pull out, which is a miracle because most of the time my friends' purses look like a bottomless pit of death. But they can pull that sucker out in less than a second. So, why are you pressing it upon them to give you an EpiPen when if you're the one with the allergy, shouldn't you be carrying the EpiPen on you? Just a question. Third story. Let me see. Hunley. Have we come to the point where we have to make people go through a mandatory mental health check before stepping on a plane? It's looking like it's headed that way. It's looking like it's headed that way. This idiot. What would you do if you're sitting behind someone who works at a shelter and has a sweater covered with dog hair? Have all pet owners thrown off your plane? I call BS. Exactly, reality check. I completely agree. Like I said, it's your allergy. It's your responsibility. You should have an EpiPen on your person in case of emergencies.
Okay. I'm going to pay to be croaked. I'm going to pay a professional. Thank you. That's my Mitch right there.
Yep, that's Mitch. We've missed you in the live chat, Mitch. We were beginning to have to figure out whether we're going to do an intervention or something because, you're rather addicted to your Star Trek Online there, bud. All right, third story. Department of Justice, U.S. anti-bias law doesn't include transgender workers. This is why our Mr. Sessions is here. I was coming up with the talking points of these things, and there were a couple of things I looked up along the way as an addendum to this story. So we're going to go through these talking points, and then we're going to go through the addendums that I found. What? Never.
Mitch said he can stop anytime he gets ready.
Sounds like an addict to me. Title VII Civil Rights Act of 1964 only prohibits discrimination on biological sex, not gender identity. Yeah, we're talking. They start out by saying gender identity, and then they actually talk about transgenders, which they mean transsexuals later on in the article. And before we continue, because by now I'm going to cover is a screen cap of 10. As soon as this thing decides to cooperate. Unlawful employment practices. This is from the 1964 Civil Rights Act, Title VII. Employer practices. It shall be an unlawful employment practice for any employer, 1, to fail or refuse to hire or to discharge any individual or otherwise discriminate against any individual with respect to his compensation, terms, conditions, or privileges of employment because of such individual's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, or 2, to limit, segregate, or classify his employees or applicants for employment in any way which would deprive or tend to deprive any individual of any employment opportunities or otherwise adversely affect his status as an employee because of such individual's race, color, religion, sex, or national origin.
Right.
So there is Title VII. Morning Gerbil. Straight cis male. Do we really need transgender rights? To me, we need transsexual. But the problem is most true transsexuals don't bring attention to themselves as being transsexual. They will approach, there does come a time, particular transsexuals' employment, that they will have to come forward to their employer if they want to do a transition, to sit down and talk with them. Now, in 2011, such happened here in Georgia, where an employer was approached by their employee who said they wanted to go through a sex change that was male to female sex change, and the employer discharged them. Okay? Except for X group of people. Exactly, except for X group of people. Sex is sex. Of course, these people like to separate sex and gender and, 70,000 fucking genders and all this other bullshit. So I will continue. Sessions rescinded the Justice Department memo that the act protects them. Federal Appeals Court says it does as well. This was promoted by Trump signing a memo in August that keeps transsexuals from serving in the military. We all knew about that, Ro. I did a debate about that. The only memo that I could find is, oops, wrong one. Technical difficulties because I can't remember what to click. Okay. This is from the Attorney General. This is a memo from the Attorney General's office, not a memo from the president himself. So this is the Office of the Attorney General, October 4th, 2017. Biased treatment of transgender employment discrimination claims under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Mr. Ripper, all these new laws for special groups are inappropriate as the Bill of Rights covers exactly everyone as individuals. I tend to agree. But we're living in a society where everybody is screaming me. So apparently there has to be a law for every me.
It doesn't mean need to be a law for every me.
I'm being sarcastic.
I know. I'm trying to be a little sarcastic too.
Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 makes it unlawful for employers to discriminate in the employment of an individual because of such individual's ... sex. Title VII's prohibition of sex discrimination is a strong and vital principle that underlies the integrity of our workforce. The question of whether Title VII's prohibition on sex discrimination encompasses discrimination based on gender identity per se, including discrimination against transgender individuals, arises in a variety of contexts. In a December 15th, 2014 memorandum, Attorney General Holder concluded that Title VII does encompass such discrimination based on his view that Title VII prohibits employers from taking into account sex-based considerations. So, the thing he's referring to is here. You guys know I was going to be looking this shit up. I was almost late this morning because of this bullshit. Okay, Attorney Holder directs department to include gender identity under sex discrimination employment claims. This is a snippet of his memo. It says, Attorney General Holder announced today that the Department of Justice will take the position in litigation that the protection of the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 extends to claims of discrimination based on an individual's gender identity, including transgender status. Attorney General Holder informed all Department Justice component heads and United States attorneys in a memo that the department will no longer assert that the Title VII's prohibition against discrimination based on sex excludes discrimination based on gender identity per se, including transgender discrimination, reversing a previous Department of Justice position. Title VII makes it unlawful for employers to discriminate in the employment of an individual because of such individuals' sex, among other protected characteristics. So there's a little snippet on that right there. So it also goes to include that the Justice Department went before the Federal Appeals Court in Manhattan, arguing that Title VII does not provide protections to gay and lesbians. DNC urged Congress to pass a bill protecting LGBT workers. DOJ's Devin O'Malley said Thursday the government can't expand the law beyond the original intentions. Also says that last admin abandoned the fundamental principle which necessitated today's action. In other words, blaming the Obama administration. Hurricane Nate is coming right for me. Well, be careful, Jason, because I heard it was going to hit land at a Category 1 last night. I don't know if it's gained in steam. I'll probably be looking that up shortly. Sharon McGowan, who worked at the DOJ during the Obama administration, says the memo ignores a growing number of court decisions against LGBT, specifically transsexual. We're confident that the courts will see this flippant position for what it is, an anti-LGBT political pronouncement that finds no support in the law, she said. Now, Civil Rights Act to discriminate against cases of sex, not sexual orientation, sex. It doesn't state biological sex. It says sex. It doesn't say gender. It says sex. Okay? People are interpreting it all sorts of freaking ways. To me, it covers anybody that is transsexual. And I will use the word transsexual and not transgender because transgender has a lot of different, ways of, how they conflate things. Now, I would say that the EEOC could recommend a discrimination lawyer if, like in the case of 2011, somebody would approach their boss and say that they have been going through, psychological treatments for gender dysphoria, and that they are going to start their sex change or their sex reassignment operations. And the employer fires them simply on that basis. To me, that's discrimination. Now, if I were to put myself in the shoes of the employer, which is usually some things that I can do and look at it from an objective point of view. Okay, and this may get me in trouble with some of my friends, but I'm in this person's position. This person has been working for me for, let's say, 2 years. Okay? I've been noticing subtle changes in this person for a while. They came, they were male for all intents and purposes, masculine. And over the course of these 2 years, I've been noticing subtle changes in their physique, in their physical appearance, in the way they started carrying themselves. I would be curious, but I would consider it a personal issue and I would let it go. Unless it started affecting the rest of the staff and the function of the business as a whole. Now, if this person decided to approach me in my office and tell me that they have dysphoria and they had to explain it to me because I had never heard of the condition before, I'd be understanding, I'd be accepting, and I'd be open, but that's just me. Okay? If they said they were going to go through sex reassignment surgery and explain to me what all that entailed, I personally would help them through it. But there are businesses out there that are so keyed in on the bottom line and making money and having employees that can function to the utmost efficiency that coming forward and saying that you're having sex reassignment surgery henceforth will make you a liability to that company health-wise, because you are going to be out of commission for X number of months or X number of weeks or X number of days. You may not be able to afford that. That's where the objectivity comes in. Especially if it is a company that goes along production lines. Because if you are a production company, there's a certain amount of items that you need to produce per day. And that team that you have is very vital to getting that production out. Miss T, before a person can do the surgery, don't they have to actually dress and live like the other gender? That would make it very... Yeah, they would. It would make it very obvious. It would make it very obvious. Okay? Depending on how the employer approached the issue and how they fired the person would determine whether or not the EOC would recommend a discrimination lawyer for that case or not. Because if it's strictly firing upon the fact that they will not be able to make production quotas, discrimination. They're saying you're a liability due to those particular operations that you have to go through, because production will not be at peak because you're going through these treatments and you're going to be out of commission for X amount of time. And they cannot have someone there. The problem is they can be sued because gender dysphoria is a mental condition, and firing someone upon having a mental condition that manifests in physical problems is a suable offense. It's the law is fucked up. Let's just put it that way. There's so many yeses and nos in the laws as to whether or not you can sue for discrimination. First of all, you have to prove discrimination beyond the shadow of a doubt. You have to prove that the reason you got fired is because you were being discriminated against. Okay? Which means the person in 2011 had to have a solid case for the fact that their employer fired them solely because they walked into that office and told them that they were going to be out of commission for a sex reassignment surgery. And, you know, the employer had to make it clear that the reason he was being fired was because of that reason. So we're going to keep an eye on this story because it is a trans issue. And, you know, I'm halfway expecting Riley Dennis to get a hold of this and start his bullshit on Twitter, but that's just me. That's just me. That is just me. How my Nightbot has apparently gone on strike. There are several ways to support this channel and its sister channels. You can go into the description area underneath this particular live stream, and there is a tip jar. Every little bit helps. You can click on my website, become a patron in two different ways. You can become a patron through PayPal and a patron through Patreon, whichever one is more comfortable for you. I also have a shop full of handmade jewelry, and you can also customize your own chainmail dragon or order your own custom jewelry pieces. So those are very many ways that you can support me. Now that I have plugged myself, we're going to go on to plugging other people. All right, let's see here. Here we go. Recommended views. Eheroduelist has a video by the name of Social Justice and the Terrible, Horrible, No Good Anti-SJW Day. It's short, it's sweet, it's kind of funny, but it's very much to the point. So, okay, guys, give that a look. Irate Bear has one called The Moral Issue with Gaming, with moral in quotation marks, where he responds to an article on the internet about the morality of violent games. The Barbarian has Raiders Revenge, another installment of Axes and A-Holes. Check that out. That was absolutely entertaining and funny as hell, too. And has some great stuff. For those of you who are comic book geeks, Mim Headroom has a video called Marvel's Tragic Legacy. This one yesterday had me kind of giggling because apparently people have been asking him to review Marvel Legacy. And he reviewed it, and he also said that if he started sounding a little spoopy or soupy or something like that, it was because he glued more foam into his Mim cave in an enclosed spot with aerosol glue. So he sniffed some of the glue fumes and was getting kind of loopy.
Vincent, let me guess. I missed the transsexual.
Completely, Finn. Completely. Morning, Minty.
Ooh, Foxy and Minty Fresh.
So, once again, I'll do a recap of this. One thing I didn't cover for the Vegas shooter is one person that used to in one of these hotel casinos said that he walked around like he had a god complex, like he, like the face and his whole air was, don't fuck with me, you don't want to fuck with me, you have no clue who I am, that kind of crap. But looking for the flip side of shit, when you are a high stakes gambler and you can plop down $10,000 on a bet, you're gonna have that mentality.
Pretty fucking much. To
some degree. I wouldn't plop $10,000 on a on a fucking poker machine. To me, $10,000 fucking dollars pays off my car and helps me do other shit. But he had the money to blow, so he blew it, and he got a big ego. But still, no motive and no reason why. So there's that. All the links, and I will probably be updating the links down below, have a lot of the sources that I was able to get. Delay is a little bit disturbing, and one of the reasons why I did a plug. Our own Rhetorical Entertainment found this, and I am looking for stuff to back it up. This is, and I said looking, because this is out of Local 10, which I believe is out of San Francisco, CNN Money, so I'm taking this with a grain of salt, but it is YouTube. Who knows? Title of this is YouTube Changes Search to Combat Las Vegas Conspiracy Videos, because there are a ton of conspiracy theory videos coming out because of the Las Vegas shooting that happened over the weekend. Algorithm promotes authoritative news sources. Sounds kind of scary for me, don't it? All right, San Francisco, CNN Money. YouTube has always had videos with conspiracy theories, hoaxes, and misinformation. In the wake of Las Vegas shootings, the company has decided to address the problem. Updated its search algorithm Thursday to promote authoritative news sources at the top of search results, according to a person familiar with the matter. YouTube has been working on the change for months, but decided to release it early after conspiracy videos surfaced on its site about the Las Vegas shooting. Yes, they do have a very specific track record, Mitch. Visitors searching YouTube for information about Sunday's shootings or shooter Stephen Paddock have been directed to videos pushing conspiracy theories. They claim where there were, what the fuck with the English? I'm going to skip that extra word that don't make no sense. You people need to edit your shit. Come on now. Multiple shooters. The shooting was staged by the U.S. government, and that Paddock was an anti-Trump activist, among other things.
Time out. He was an anti-Trump activist.
It's a grainy video that still hasn't been fully cleaned up yet. Kind of look like him. The issue picked up steam on social media Wednesday and was documented in articles from BuzzFeed and The Guardian. Now a search for Stephen Paddock on YouTube shows results from outlets like BBC, USA Today, and NBC News on top. You have to scroll down to the 28th result for a conspiracy video connecting Paddock to anti-fascist groups. However, once you watch one conspiracy video, YouTube will still recommend other conspiracy videos, though there are some established news sources mixed in. YouTube, which is owned by Alphabet, is the latest tech company to come under fire for propagating misinformation about current events, specifically the shooting in Las Vegas. Facebook and Google have also been criticized for featuring unreliable sources and sources following the shooting. For instance, Google linked to threads from online message board 4chan in its top news results that identified the wrong person as the shooter. Facebook's crisis response page, where people can check in as safe after an incident, included links to questionable stories by alt-right news and the Gateway Pundit. Both Facebook and Google took those links down. YouTube's change will affect searches for major news stories, not just Las Vegas, and the company says it may make further changes to combat misinformation in the future. Let me see here. Reality check. The false flag theories are really pissing my daughter off. Her dad has lived in LV since she was 8, and she spent half of her childhood there. Yeah. Fen. Best one I heard was the shot before the shooting started. The real shooter left and left us trying to figure out why he would do it when he didn't. Says male. Every tragedy is conspiracy theorist. What does it even matter that they're flat earthers? Who cares? Minty Fox, define misinformation. Well, we know that YouTube is trying to go to YouTube television. They're trying to roll out a television service, which means channels like me with the Morning Brew that look and try and confirm and corroborate facts before we report our stories in the morning are going to be buried amidst ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, you name it. Mainstream media is going to pop up in the search results before you ever even see me and my channel and my news show. So, and with this new algorithm, let's face it, I am not authoritative in that authoritative meaning I don't have a journalist degree. I didn't graduate from college with a journalism degree. I don't work for mainstream media. I don't work for a major newspaper. I am me. I'm doing this out of my house because I got fed up with trying to sort through all the spin and bullshit that the mainstream media had to offer in terms of what they considered news. I wanted to give you guys the facts as I could find them and confirm them. That way you got the story as straight as possible without any spin. Do I put my opinion? Thank you, Minty. Do I put my opinion in the stories? I try to put my opinion in the stories at the end of each of the stories. That way you guys can tell the facts from the opinions. Okay? The only way I am going to stay relevant when this algorithm goes in full swing is if people like you support me by liking this live stream, by sharing it out during the day. That way people know that there is somebody out there trying to get the facts as I find them and can confirm them out there so people can get the news without a spin. We have a phrase in this house when we report through the news that is basic, and I came up with it actually, and Ronan has been running with it ever since, especially on our sister channel, MWM News, I think is what it's called. And the slogan is, we're not left, we're right in the middle, which means all we do is present the facts, and then we give our opinion. So there is editorials through it, but there's no spin. Thank you, Reality Check. Thank you very much. Wait, now you sort through it still, but now you don't have to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do. I'm the one that is sifting through CNN and BBC and Reuters and AP and all the news rags to pull out the facts that corroborate across all these articles to give you the news.
For all the hard to find shit.
Yeah.
She pull up something and everything, take her 3 minutes and everything. Me, I have to sort through page after page. No. What the fuck is this? No. Damn, how did she? Never mind, that's not it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, the algorithm, is being fully implemented. Reality Check. It's why I come here when I can. Had the flu all damn week. Wow. I hope you're feeling better, Reality Check.
Yeah, I hope you're feeling better too. And everything. The last time I had the flu, yeah, I fucked up.
One well-known and disliked white teacher we all know is still telling her idiot fans that the shooter had been converted to Islam. She hasn't even fact-checked. She's just spreading a fan's spin. Yeah, I don't do that. And those of you who follow me on Twitter saw me arguing with InfoWars that kept saying that he had an Antifa link. And I literally tweeted, act like I'm from Missouri. Show me the evidence. I want to see an FBI press release. Because that's the way I am. There's news, there's editorials, and there's bullshit. And I want to report the news.
I just want to see the official press releases.
Yeah.
I've had the opportunity to take a look at all those room photos.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm.
Most definitely.
That man was hunting.
Yes, he was. He was definitely hunting. So I am going to, because I try and set the alarm for 7 o'clock every morning. First couple of days this week, I was suffering from insomnia, which is why the show started late. So please, tell your family, tell your friends, tell anybody you think is interested in watching news without spin that Monday through Friday on the MWM Media Channel at 10:30 Eastern Time a.m., there is the Morning Brew. Yes, that's the news hound. That is the news hound. And when we get into an apartment, there's going to be 2 cams running. One for me and one for the news hound, since, you know, apparently he's the star of the show and, you know, I'm just here reading stories. Reality check. I can't stand Antifa, but this had nothing to do with Antifa. The guy was playing his ultimate high-stakes gamble. That's what it seems like. That's what it seems like. Yep. So, we brought you the stories, we brought you recommended views, and we brought you something that was a little bit scary out of YouTube, but let's face it, are we really surprised that YouTube is gearing their algorithm to steer people away from what they consider as fake news? Because what we consider fake news is actually, you know, misconstrued, spun as hell, lots of lies, and actually fake news. I mean, CNN has tripped up time and time again. But they're considering conspiracy theorists, which are fake news, and possibly lumping me in that too, which is rather insulting. It is really insulting to me because I try, you know, to give you the best of what I've got, even though, you know, until I get the better rig or the better computer, which is right around the horizon seemingly. You know, this is, as I like to joke, this is the most ghetto newscast on YouTube. And it will be until I get a better computer, so hang in there with me. Hellbound Iscariot. Didn't Riley make a video about Trump not being evil, but evil? I don't know, dear. I don't know, because I try not to watch Riley because I can't make it through his videos without wanting either a stiff drink or something that knocks me out for a good 12 hours.
I need bourbon to deal with Riley.
Yes.
Lots of bourbon.
Reality check. Google, YouTube supports and promotes TYT. Right. How can you trust any organization who would promote Cenk? I know, right? I know, right? Oh, my God. On that note, my friends, may your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you have an absolutely fabulous Friday. Discord, where I'm going to start the coffee club as soon as I get there. Bye.